I actually debated on doing this review. I kept going back and forth on it, only because it's honestly just not part of my repertoire. Usually my angle is like the geek or the classic nostalgic movies. I did want to see it in the theaters because it is kind of groundbreaking, so let's kind of briefly talk about Bros. Bros is actually a Billy Eichner and Nicholas Stoller project. Stoller. But it's actually also produced by Judd Apatow. So Nicholas Stoller actually directed the film. Billy Eichner wrote the film. And Billy Eichner actually wrote the film with Nicholas Stoller. Judd Apatow and Stoller actually worked together many times on films such as Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Get Him to the Greek. Stoller has also been involved in films such as Neighbors 1 and 2. And I was actually curious to see this one for a couple of different reasons. It's groundbreaking in a sense that it is pretty much the first film about gay representation that's actually from a real mainstream studio of Universal. It's a film about the LGBT. It doesn't treat them like a punchline. It doesn't treat them as a non-sexual advice-giving plant. It's a movie that doesn't have LGBT characters whose sole purpose is to help straight people with their relationships. And another reason I wanted to see the movie is because it has Billy Eichner in it. Earlier I said Eichner, didn't I? Work your muscles, Tony. Work your speech pattern, Tony. Billy Eichner, because I loved him in Parks and Rec, and I also liked his series, Difficult People. That's a series that should not have been canceled. It basically follows the life of a man who's trying to start an LGBTQ plus museum with other people who are part of that community. And he's just basically trying to get his funding to get this museum off the ground. He meets a man played by Luke MacFarlane at a club. Luke MacFarlane's character, he actually has as much of a story arc as much as Billy's character. Billy plays Bobby and Luke plays Aaron. See, Aaron, his whole thing is he's gone through life just kind of jumping from one bed to another. He's afraid of relationships. He can never really commit to it. And meanwhile, Eichner's character, Bobby, he's just jaded. He's burnt out. He's 40. He's pretty much made peace with the fact that relationships just aren't for him. But he's still hopeful, but he also has things to do, has things going on in life. There are a lot of great actors who are actually part of the LGBTQ plus community represented in this film. And it was great to see Amanda Bierce in this as Aaron's mother. I'm a fan of hers because I grew up on Married with Children. The film itself mocks the heteronormative Hallmark Channel love story. In fact, there are a lot of jokes about the Hallmark Channel in their movies about straight couples, but it also kind of pokes fun at Hallmark about every time they try to introduce any representation of the LGBTQ community, because it's some of the jokes, it's almost like watching Family Guy, honestly, because it'll just kind of jump to those references of these weird, like, forced diversity films. The film actually does represent a very, very, very real picture of what the community consists of. It doesn't treat it like any other boy meets girl love story. It's actually what relationships really are about. But it also expands on the different types of relationships within that community. Now, yes, there are times where it does feel like the message is a little heavy-handed, but it's not too much. Only sporadically throughout the film. Otherwise, it's just Bobby and Aaron trying to grow. They like each other, they care about each other to the point they actually love each other, but they struggle with their own baggage enough to have a hard time to connect together and actually make it official. It's not really so much of a love story as much as a personal growth story.
What are you into? One of these ripped idiots with no opinions?
No, I'd like someone who's physically very frail and won't stop talking.
So if you want to be spoiled, that's fine. Stick around. If you've seen the movie, stick around. But if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, then come back about here. Yeah, so guys, this is not a typical film. It's not a typical film I cover, but, I saw it this weekend and it was entertaining enough. And every now and then I like give myself a bit of a break from the comic book, nostalgia, cartoon, those type of movies, and step out of that comfort zone and do something different. All right, so spoiler stuff. This is the point where I would actually get into a lot of spoilers, but it's pretty much what you think it'll be. It's more or less predictable. If you're part of the community, then you know the story very well. It's real. Because that's a problem with the community. The community still has to face a lot of prejudice and also acceptance from different people. And it's not even like acceptance from straight people, but it's actually acceptance from each other, from within the community. The community, the LGBT has to deal with many different factions. It can be very shallow, or it can be just different wavelengths. One little acknowledgement that I like from Billy Eichner is that, see, I like Billy Eichner's take on it.
Love is love is love. No, it's not. That is bullshit.
He pretty much proclaims love is not love. It's just many different things, and we gotta stop treating it like it's this whole magical entity. It's a different attraction, but it does come with its own baggage. Just like everything else in life, every decision you make comes with its own baggage. It does have some jokes where it makes fun of straight people, but it's not hurtful. It's actually just kind of, straight people don't really get it. Like, it's just kind of like a blissful ignorance. There are many different types of relationships. There's the polygamy, the open relationships, the bisexuality, lesbians, trans, asexual, all different varieties. And they do their best to actually cover it all. You would think that a character like Luke MacFarlane, since he's introduced as being this muscled, shirtless guy at a club, you'd think there's not really much to him, but there are plenty of layers. Even though he's out, he still struggles with his bit of an internal homophobia because he was raised in a certain specific way. He still tries to butch himself up. That's the idea of why they call this movie Bros. So that's why his first sexual interaction, his first one-on-one sexual interaction with Bobby, is that they're pretty much wrestling while they're at it. And the movie does kind of show realistic sex too. I mean, there's no penetration, don't worry about it. That we're gonna clear for that. Aaron's purpose is that he wants to design his own chocolates, but he was always afraid to do that because, that's not macho. That would disappoint his family. See, Aaron's main job is he's a lawyer. He helps people write out their wills. He uses his lawyer's skill to help Bobby out to get funding for the museum of $5 million from a character played by Bowen Yang. Love him very much. I actually do. I'm a fan of him every time he's on SNL. Bowen Yang is actually one of the funnier, unhinged characters in this film, and you only see him briefly, and I wanted more of him. But it's kind of cool at the end. You get the museum built. You see Ben Stiller and Amy Schumer and like all these other celebrities appearing as holograms in this history of the LGBTQ museum. And there are a lot of discussions, serious discussions, that more people really should talk about. And I don't mean like on a grand scale, on a stage or anything like that, but like just everyday people talking to each other. Like the scene where Bobby is meeting Aaron's parents. Aaron's mother is actually a second grade teacher. So Bobby tries to persuade her into teaching kids about gay history, but her whole stance is they're too young for it. And they clash. I mean, not like a whole physical altercation type of way, but there's just still some kind of embarrassment from Aaron on this. Aaron ends up bumping into a guy that he was on a hockey team with in high school and found out that that guy just came out, and it's a whole thing of him just trying to cope, and it's clashing of the relationship. Bobby and Aaron try to form this relationship, help each other grow, but Aaron still kind of strays. Aaron learns to get past his own personal bullshit, just as well as Bobby trying to not change himself to be more masculine, just to be himself. So it's really one of those be yourself type of messages. Aaron finally quits his job so he can become a chocolate maker, chocolate designer, and shows up at the museum. And I do like the ending where it does kind of seem like, oh great, they just told each other they love each other, and Bobby, Billy Eichner's character, is about to propose, but it's actually just a proposal to date for 3 months, and then after 3 months they can go ahead and reassess themselves. And it does cut to 3 months ahead, and they're still good with each other. So let's go ahead and bring back our friends, our non-spoilers. I didn't really have too many spoilers for this one because it just is. Pull them in now. Yoo-hoo! Sorry, just kidding. Welcome back. So, yeah, I really liked the movie. I don't think it was the greatest thing ever, but I'm going to tell you, I would actually go as far as to say it's still an important movie. I'm on a fence here. I would like to tell you to go see the movie, but only for fiscal reasons, to bring the money to the theater so the film itself can actually receive revenue, so more films and more representation can be out there. But I won't be upset if you don't see it, but rather wait until it comes onto a streaming service, or you just buy the DVD, or Blu-ray, whatever. Because I do say it should be seen. Whether you think it's a good movie or not, I would say see it anyways. I would say just kind of listen to the message. Just see how real it is. Listen, I promise, it's not porn, so you won't see anything uneasy. I mean, again, there's detailed talk on some parts, but you see as much of the scenes as much as you would, say, a straight film. That's why I could never really go on and debate with someone on this. Like, I do have my views on how things are or should be done, but when it comes to dealing with some closed-minded people, especially if they're bigoted, my discussions, I'm not a great debater, so my discussions would actually end up with me telling the bigot to go F themselves. So that's why we need films like this. The community wants the same thing as everyone else. Love, career, joy, just overall to be happy, just like everyone else in the world. But the community is not actually a carbon copy of the heteronormative lifestyle. And sometimes you can't pretend everything should be 100% the same. The overall message is just be yourself. Love who you love. Live your life and do not interfere with other people's happiness. I know it sounds like I'm very grandstandy during the month of Halloween, and this isn't a Halloween movie, but I saw the movie over the weekend and I really had to put it out there. And bros, I give it a 7 out of 10, closer to an 8 than a 6. I just want to thank you for watching me. If you've stayed and watched me the whole entire time, thank you for doing that. Every now and then I just like to break away from the old movies, the nostalgia, and just discuss something that I don't normally discuss on this channel. I don't really have many LGBTQ things represented through this channel. I think Ben and Arthur, or anything that Addison has said, is the closest. So, like I said, it's nice to have a bit of a break. Thank you for sticking around and watching this video. Thank you for being an Anthonix Maxiteer. If you're not an Anthonix Maxiteer yet, that's homophobic. No, I'm just kidding. But no, please subscribe. And thank you. Thank you so much for watching and putting up with this video today and watching something different. Thank you so much. And don't worry, there'll be more Halloween stuff going on. Trust me. Take care now.
Bottom day!
Bottom day! Gay sex was more fun when straight people were uncomfortable with it.
Somebody